Hello, welcome to another episode of Solly's Vlog. Today's episode, we're going to talk about Into the Technoverse, another one of my mix shows for my electronic series. I'm a big fan of techno, and usually if you see some of my pictures, I'm always wearing my Carl Cox hoodie. In techno we trust. I'm a big fan of techno, but there's a lot of subgenres with techno that I'm unfamiliar with, and I decided I wanted to do a mix show series along with Solly's Proper House that kind of took a different look at techno. Techno is something that I'm very much into, and it has its own vibe, just like house. But I like the peak driving techno, when it's midnight and you're going like 130 beats per minute. Like, that's the kind of techno I like. But there's a way to build up to that. And I'm a huge fan of techno. Actually, the first time I went to Chicago, I went to go see Laid Back Luke at Soundbar, and he did a strictly techno set. And just to listen to the tracks that he played, and of course he uses Denon. So to hear him play a strictly techno set and use the same setup that I have, it was awesome. Just let me tell you that much. Seeing Carl Cox at the Radius right before the pandemic hit, which is where I bought my hoodie at, conveniently enough. That was an amazing show. I remember the lights and everybody gathering together under one roof, and Carl Cox is putting on this incredible set. Like, it was a good time. And when I think about a lot of those things and a lot of those experiences that I've had in the past with different shows that I've went to, I want a mix show series that kind of reflects the artists and the producers of some of this music. I call it Into the Technoverse because it kind of reminds me of like Into the Spider-Verse, where everything overlaps. A little bit of a Marvel reference, but I have a lot of comic book references in some of my mixes. If you haven't noticed already, which you will probably notice over the next couple of weeks and months as you dive into content, hopefully. But Technoverse is what I normally will probably call it from now on out. It's just all techno. Sometimes deep driving techno, sometimes some minimal techno, sometimes some dark techno. It just depends. But what my goal is to kind of like do something to pay homage to that particular genre. This is another series that I started when I was in the Philippines in Olongapo City back in 2019. I kind of made the decision. I was like, I want to do 3 electronic series to kind of highlight a mix, have a mix every week and do 3 electronic series that kind of highlight what's happening in that particular genre, or best represented every week, I should say, because I'll be throwing in some old school and new school on all of them. But Technoverse is something that I want to be well represented. And most of these electronic tracks are like 5 or 6 minutes long. You cut them down where you have really good blends, and the goal is to play at least 20 to 25 tracks in a set. So I'm going to look at doing my shows a little bit longer. I think 90 minutes to 2 hours is a good indicator. And that's just putting in work. Because once you go through that many tracks, whether it's techno, house, trance, when you go through that many tracks, you'll kind of find things that you like and artists that you like and highlight things. But the one thing that I want to do with all of my electronic series is I want to bring them to video, just like I'm doing my vlogs, bringing it to video. Because we now live in an age where video is something that's a little bit more accessible and easier to produce. That's why I want to do my vlogs a little bit more often, just so that people can kind of see what I've been up to the last year. But not only that, you can have a brief description of things. I want to talk a lot about my content, each of my different shows that I have, so that you kind of pick something you like, or maybe listen to something out of curiosity. You might not be a techno person, but you might check out Solly's Proper House, or you might check out Transcension, because there's a little bit of progressive house in there. There's a little bit of techno in there. Of course, it's a lot of trance, but I build up to it when I do that set. And even with techno, I build up to that too. It just depends on how you put things together for the set. And a lot of it's just experimentation. That's the cool thing about putting mixes up on the internet. You build an audience that way, and that's kind of what my goal is. I want to do something a little bit different so people can kind of pick and choose what they might like to hear from me. And I'm always down for suggestion, especially from DJs and people who love going to shows with different DJ producers, which is what I wind up doing all the time anyway. These shows are very important to me. So you can find Into the Technoverse every Friday on Apple Podcasts or Podomatic. There'll be some other episodes that I haven't released yet that I'll be putting out periodically Monday through Friday, so look for those. I'll usually leave something on Instagram, or I'll leave something YouTube Shorts, and that way you'll know what's going on with me and what content is coming out. That's going to do it for this episode of Solly's Vlog. Make sure you click like and subscribe to my YouTube channel.